Well, hello there. You are listening to Nellyville, the podcast. Hello, shalom, and welcome back to another episode of Nellyville, the podcast, the place to be, the place to be with your host Chanel number 5, aka Nellyville. Hope everyone's doing all right. Okay, so as you can tell from the title, we are going to talk about actresses today. Female actors. Word on the street is people aren't saying actress anymore. Apparently, it's barbaric or something. Anyways, another conversation. But today we're going to talk about the women actors, okay? However you want to word it, okay? But before we jump into that, I do want to do a little PSA, okay? It's summertime. People are swimming. We are doing the water things, okay? People are traveling. You go on to Airbnbs. Now, you know I am a citizen of TikTok land, okay? I'm out there in those streets. I roam around. I come in and bring you the news, right? Somebody... Long story short, these people rented out this Airbnb, real nice Airbnb, but real nice, big old pool, big old jacuzzi. Anyways, these people decided to pour a whole bottle of Dawn dish soap into the TikTok pool, into the Airbnb pool, the jacuzzi, to the spa. So you know. The hot water, the jets. I guess they decided, well, we're going to have a giant bubble bath, giant bubbles all up in the pool, all up in the point that I'm trying to get at is be very careful what your children are watching on TikTok, because they are going to see that and think that they can do that at your pool, at your family's pool, at the clubhouse pool, at the pool down the street, at the Airbnb, okay? And I would hate for you parents to get slapped with a really stupid bill or a lawsuit because your kids saw something crazy. And the gag is, the people who did this, very much way too grown, old enough to know, baby, don't do that. But also, you know what? Look, it's some grown people that really don't know how pools work and think, hey, it's just bubbles. It's just a little Dawn dish soap. It's some people out there that might be that dumb to think, well, I don't see what the problem is. The problem is you gonna jack up a whole lot of stuff. And this is how people get punched in the mouth, okay? If you don't want a lawsuit and you don't want to get punched in the mouth by owners of people's or pools, or if you don't want to have to punch your own children in the mouth because they done messed up your pool or hot tub jacuzzi, make sure it is very abundantly clear that you do not do that. Okay. If it wasn't already clear, and, just kids got a lot of time. Grown people got a lot of time. You see stuff on the internet. If it looks fun, fact check, look it up, because ain't nobody got money or time for all of that. So to those Airbnb people whose pool got all jacked up, not to mention the money that they're going to lose from, because I imagine you probably can't rent the place out while you're getting the pool repaired. I mean, you could, but the selling point of the rental is probably that big old pool. You know what I'm saying? So, good luck to all the people that rent out their vacation homes and houses to try to get a little piece of change. Okay? Be respectful. Don't be doing extra stuff. Dawn is for dishes. That's it. And for cleaning grease off of ducks. Okay? That's it. Okay? All right, so I guess we can move on now to the topic at hand, the topic of today, actresses. And what brought this on, which I don't really think we've talked about actors, actresses on this podcast. Not a lot. We talk a lot about music artists. I watch a lot of TV, don't watch a whole lot of movies. But, so... I kind of lean more towards the TV actors. But what brought this conversation on is, once again, I was out here in these TikTok streets and I came across an interview with Viola Davis. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it. I was just going to play a little piece of it because, podcast land, you only get so much time. You know what I'm saying? This is my show. You know what I'm saying? I love Viola, but baby, this is my show. You know what I'm saying? So the interview, but I feel like for you to get the full gist of where I'm coming from and maybe get a little inspiration, maybe get a little history or something to really feel it. Okay, I feel like you need to hear the whole clip. Now, if you don't want to listen to the whole clip right now, I will send it to you if you want to hear it. It's only 3 minutes long, but if you want to fast forward starting from this clip and just hear me speak, hey, I understand. You came here for the Nellyville. I get it. So if you want to fast forward 3 minutes, then you can get right back to me. But if you want to hear the clip, here it is.
What was the objective of their training? Were they shaping you into a good actress or a perfect white actress?
Definitely a perfect white actress.
And what does that look like?
What it looks like, it's technical training. In order to deal with the classics, in order to deal with the Strindbergs and the O'Neills and the Chekhovs and the Shakespeare, I totally understand that. But what it denies is the human being behind all of that. I feel that as a black actress, I'm always being tasked to show that I have range by doing white work. Listen, I could do the best I can with Tennessee Williams, but he writes for fragile white women. Beautiful work, but it's not me. But we don't put those same parameters on white actors. Is she going to be able to pull off Mama and Raising the Sun? Is she going to be able to pull off Beneatha? Is she going to be able to pull off Molly in Joe Turner's Come and Gone when Molly says, I ain't going south, and make me believe it? They don't have to do that. So for those 4 years at Juilliard, all the white actor has to do is play all white characters. That's not me. And then once I leave Juilliard, guess what? Most of what I will be asked to do are black characters, which people will not feel that I am black enough. So then I'm caught in a quagmire, this sort of in-between place of sort of not understanding how to use myself as the canvas. Sanford Meisner says the most important question an actor can ask is why. I'm going to redefine that question. I think the most important question anyone can ask is why. And then when you get to the end of why, the most really powerful question you can ask is why not? Why can't I be the weight I am now? Why can't I have muscular arms? Why can't I have a deep voice? Why can't I be a love interest? And what I realize is I was always worthy. I didn't have to do anything for that. It's not the power chord anymore.
So what is?
I'm the power chord. I am. Every single day when I wake up and put my feet on the floor, my job is to not betray myself. Juilliard was an out-of-body experience because once again, I did not think that I could use me. Me needed to be left at the front door, even though me was what got me in there. You know, I'm worthy. Who?
At Juilliard, what was the objective?
Okay, so that's the clip that sparked me saying, you know what, I want to talk about some actresses, but before we talk about some of my favorites, I kind of want to touch on some of the things that she said in the interview. This is not a concept that we are unfamiliar with, but I think it was so deliberately and delicately put together that, I mean, no one has ever explained that as well as Miss Viola Davis. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it goes beyond acting. What she's saying can apply to just being black and having to code switch all the time. And this inward battle of, am I code switching to please other people who should be okay with me anyway? Or, you know, or is this just another aspect of my personality? How comfortable am I with code switching, and how much should I be doing before I lose myself? Okay, so there's that. Then there's also just once again, we talked about it last week, being a woman in society, especially a Black woman. Okay, not a woman of color, which all women, but let's just speak to the Black experience right now. To be a Black woman in society is directly tied into TV land and movie world, right? Media reflects reality. Art imitates life. Life imitates art. And so when you have actresses feeling like they are in a box, because they kind of are, and then you only see this one thing on TV and in media, and you feel like, I have to try to be that thing. And some of those things you can't be. If you're Black, you can't be white. If you big boned, you just big boned. You know what I'm saying? If you got a wide nose, if you got Black features, if you got some things, it just is what it is. If you have a deep voice, and to her point, why can't those things just be? Why does it have to be a battle? It doesn't need to be this thing where, oh, she's beautiful for a big girl. She's beautiful for a Black woman. Oh, she's a pretty dark woman. That's a pretty Black girl. I don't think she's a deep dark. Oh, she's so strong. But then all the little 90-pound little feather of a woman, white women get to just be the full definition of beauty and grace. Like, I know we're kind of staggering off of what we actually are doing here, which is talking about actresses, but you gotta look in deeper to what she was saying. It goes beyond acting. And it brings a whole new respect to that field. We all know it's more than just getting up there and reading some lines and playing pretend. It's more than that. But it makes you respect the Black women actresses, specifically Black women. You respect it so much more when you really sit down and realize the mental gymnastics and obstacles they have no choice but to go through and still be able to produce and emote some of the best work you will ever witness in your life. You have to respect it. If you are a white person who went to a white, a predominantly, white, a white teaching acting school, did you really have to try? Like she said, you have white people playing white roles. They're playing parts that they can relate to on some level. And then if you are Black, no one's teaching you how to play these roles that you're going to have to play. They're teaching you how to play white roles that you're never going to get. So you go there to get that piece of paper and you still, they're basically doing this, they're training themselves. And, obviously people have coaches and they learn from, the greats before them, and they study with other. Point is, when you really grasp the concept of the 10 times more of work that they are doing, wow, it comes that much more amazing. So anyways, so that prompted me to want to talk about some of my favorite actresses, and yeah, we're not going to get too deep. Let's move on to a little lightheartedness. So in no particular order, let's talk about just a few of my favorites. Of course, Obviously, starting with Viola Davis. God damn, that woman. I've said it for years. She's who I want to be when I grow up. I mean, my God. Stunning. Commanding. Emotional. Like, the way, there's a lot of people that can cry on command, okay? But to be able to, the way she dig down deep, I know people like to, everybody makes fun of Viola with the snot and the jerp and the thing. It's one thing to be able to push out a little tear. This woman can go to a place that will instantly make you break down. You might not even been watching the whole movie. She start crying on screen, baby, you are in a corner. That is true acting. When you don't even have to know the plot. You could have been doing laundry, washing dishes, taking care of kids. If you heard that woman start crying on TV, baby, you got to sit down for at least 12 minutes. You're like, oh my God, what is happening? That's the kind of actress she is. And so poised. And so, she's just commanding. And the way that she, obviously, the way she speaks, you heard, you feel, she knows how to make you feel. And we don't have actresses like that today that really make you feel and leave you walking away with, I have learned something in my spirit done change. And damn it, if the woman don't always she's always looked on point. Ah, damn. Leads me to my to another favorite of mine, Whoopi Goldberg. Oh, Whoopi. Whoopi is probably one of my first favorite actresses. I don't care what Whoopi is in. I don't care. I don't care if she's on the TV. I am stopping. If you ever seen her live or her stand up or her Broadway work, I mean, she's another one who has just that voice. And all of the actresses that I'm going to talk about today, they all possess one thing, and I want you to think about this with all of them that I speak about. Yes, they are great with delivering their lines, but what makes them even better, they are the type of actresses that they don't have to say anything. Do you know how hard it is to master the art of acting to where you don't have to say a word? You've mastered how to just give one look, just one shift of the body, and you're telling the whole story. You can get a laugh out of an audience off of one gesture. And that's what makes these ladies that I'm going to list today, that's one of my favorite things about them, is that they can just cut you a look. Baby, it's worth 3 pages of dialogue. You can't learn that. That, baby, that's in you. And no one's trying to do that anymore. If you cannot get across the plot or the message of the scene, if you have to have dialogue, baby, you're not an actor. It's supposed to be acting, okay? We had silent films before we had the talkies, right? You should be able to tell me the whole story without any kind of dialogue. Now, is dialogue important? Do we need writers and be able to, yeah, we have lots of great, wonderful lines from movies and plays that, we quote for years and years and years. It's important, don't get me wrong. But when you have an actor that can really take it there before the dialogue even comes in, oh, baby, the dialogue is Jesus Christ. But more on Whoopi. Now, Whoopi has always been famous my entire life. I've never not known her to be this huge mega star. And me growing up, I always thought she was so beautiful. I always thought, I'm like, oh, I love just everything. I just loved everything about Whoopi. I loved her voice, her presence. She always just felt so warm to me. And she's so fun. Her comedy, her comedic timing, the way she can tell a story, it was always very captivating to me. When I got older in life, I didn't realize this. Maybe because I'm a light-skinned woman, and it was my ignorance. I didn't know until I was much, much older that people looked at Whoopi and called her ugly because she was dark, because of her hair, because of, the things, colorism and all that. I didn't know that. And that really just kind of lets you know that it is society that teaches us what is beautiful and what is ugly. Because if left to our own devices, beauty truly would be in the eye of the beholder. But we are so conditioned to think that lighter skin, this racially ambiguous, this loose curl, wave, hazel eye, green eye, or this blonde hair, blue eyes, this thin, we're so conditioned. And I'm just glad that was not my ministry, that I was able to look at that woman and saw nothing but, goddamn, she's a bad mamma jamma. You know what I'm saying? Like, that when I got older and realized that people like Viola, people and the Whoopies and the things of the world, when I realized that battle for them, that's when it really opened up my eyes for the battle of all the brown and the dark women and people around me. Baby, I had no idea. And you can sit up here and call me a liar and all that. And it seemed, I don't know. I mean, if we could just kind of sidetrack for a second, I think the concept of colorism, that was not a concept to me in the slightest. I don't think until maybe middle school, but it seemed like something of the past. But that was kind of the first that I've really oh, it's a thing, or it was a thing. But okay, so let's just set the scene here. I was in middle school, and it would have been the early 2000s. This would have been the start of, not the start of, but they were really heavily pushing, at least in my world, body positivity, being inclusive, diversity. Everyone's beautiful. Everyone's like, it was, that was when they were starting that. And because I had already grown up with a very open concept of beauty, and I didn't have a complex about size and things. And maybe I didn't have a complex about it because, I just kind of got dealt a good hand, that I was very tiny, I was light, and I had a particular type of hair. I'm not saying that to brag on myself. I'm just saying that when you're not actually walking in those shoes, just because you're not experiencing something does not mean that it did not exist. And that was something that I had to learn later on. Like, obviously, I wouldn't have experienced these things firsthand, but because I wasn't seeing it, I just assumed, oh, this is something of the past. We have moved on in society. Everyone is beautiful. It's great that I was open-minded, but that's also a dangerous mentality to have. So anyways, all that being said, maybe we can do a podcast about that, because I would like to dive deeper into that. I know we touched on it before, but obviously it's still some things that I'm still like connecting dots and realizing like, oh, okay, I do have like this inner, I need to educate myself and check my privilege and check, you know what I'm saying? You gotta not live so much in a bubble, because just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening, is the point. once I realized that Whoopi and these things, when I realized that they had to go over that hurdle too, it just gave me so much more respect for their successes that they had. It's already hard enough to just get into that world, and then when you add on all of these extra layers, you just really have an extra respect for being triumphant and keep going. For their resilience alone, it's like, damn, like, how many times can you hear that? Like, you know how strong you gotta be? Do you know how confident? You know how much will you have to deal with that bullshit just to get on somebody's screen and stage and say some, like, yeah, you gotta really be in touch with your calling. But yeah, Whoopi, just, y'all already know. So let's move on to the next. Okay. Also, I can't stress this enough. In no particular order, okay? I love all of these women for different reasons, okay? I gotta go to Felicia Rashad and Debbie Allen. Oh, you want to talk about somebody? Look, I have even coined a term as a nanny and as a teacher, okay? I coined the term the Felicia Rashad, okay? Obviously, when you work with other people's kids, you can't beat them. Just kidding. I don't believe in corporal punishment. Even I think that spanking and giving whoopings should be a last resort. Also, another conversation. But seriously, when you work with other people's kids, especially in a school and stuff, like, you have to figure out a way to be able to command a room, command respect, without raising your voice, without going to, I'm gonna pluck this child in the mouth. Because you can't. You're gonna go to jail. You're gonna lose your job. You just, And one of the most successful things that I found was to give them this Felicia Rashad Cosby Show look. If you are familiar with Grey's Anatomy, Debbie Allen has some. You can tell that there's just something you could tell. Debbie has those looks that they know how to strike the fear of God in you with just a look. It's an essence that they have that says, "Oh, baby, I don't know who you think you messing with, but I'm gonna for you it right." Because you got the wrong one. They know how to say all that without saying all of that. And it's very classy. And it's not rude. It's not mean. It lets people know, not just kids, but just in life. Study them. If you are a type of person who people walk all over you, if you can't control your kids, if you can't control your man, no, seriously, these are two women that study. Find some of their projects, find some of their work, and just pay attention to the characters that they depict and watch how people respond to them. They have a way about them that they know how to emote, just give people the quiver of, oh, I better act right. Let me straighten up. Give people the Felicia Rashad. It goes a long way, and you don't have to be all nasty of the mouth. Anybody can cuss somebody out. And honestly, I don't care how good you can cuss. That doesn't always evoke respect. Because if you don't, you still need to carry that essence of that confidence behind you. I don't care if you put together a nice string of cuss words that sounds like Cardi B mixed with Saucy Santana mixed with a Lil Kim. Like, I don't care how you strung it together. If it's not coming from a place within that is exuding, I command you to act like you know what's going on, then baby, ain't nobody, you gonna always end up cussing people out. You get more respect from people when you can just exude that, when you can emote it, when you can emote that I don't have time for all of that. Then you don't have to get your blood pressure up. You don't have to go to confession and say I done cussed 3 women out, 4 dogs, and 3 officers. So look to them if you're looking for a little bit of need to put the fear of God in people. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so who do we have next? We have, okay. Let me talk about it. Can we talk about it? Huh? We ain't gonna exclude the white women today. We gonna give the white women a little piece of shine. Now hear me out. B. Arthur. God damn. Whoopi was probably, like I said, was probably one of my first favorite actresses. But I'm gonna have to say that B. Arthur is my favorite actress of all time. Here's why. If you don't know B. Arthur, we know Dorothy from Golden Girls, okay? We know her. Once again, she knew how to cut a look. Some of the most iconic moments on Golden Girls is because of how that woman knew how to shift her body and cut a look. Nobody has comedic timing like B. Arthur. Her physical comedy is unmatched. A lot of people think, when you do physical comedy, you gotta be all goofy and wild like Jim Carrey. Now, Jim Carrey is a great, respectable actor in his own right. We're not talking about men today. And I'm not saying that his wild, goofy physical comedy isn't fun. It is great and it is unique to him. But what I'm saying is, some people have physical comedy without flailing around. That's very hard to do. And it's also something that I don't know that you can teach that. I think it is something that you just, either you're born with or you just have to discover on your own. It's very rhythmic. It's very, it's just intuitive of the situation around you or the scene that you are in. Dorothy or B. Arthur, just in anything. I say Golden Girls is probably the thing that most people know her from. But she's another one. That deep, I love a deep, raspy, sultry. And when you think about the times of when she was really in her prime, when she was out here pop locking, dropping it, that grit, that rasp that she had in her voice, the way that she carried herself, that was not of the time. That was during that time. It was about, that's when actresses were really just delicate, blowing the wind. Oh, and I just got off the set and it was just so, it was just very fabulous, darling. And me and Elizabeth Taylor, darling. It was very that. It was just very glam. It was just very, it was just very fragile. And then here comes B. Arthur with this butch energy. And I'm saying butch in a mean way. I'm saying it was different. And today, it's, it's whatever. Back then, that's something you can say that was brave. To stand 10 toes on, I'm not about these frilly little dresses. I'm not about these whack ass curls and Chanel No. 5. Baby, I'm not Coco. That's not me. But even with that boisterous demeanor and energy, that was still one hell of a classy lady. And that's what's missing. I know I always talk about it's okay to be naked, it's okay to do these things. And it is. But it is something about a woman who can be classy and still exude sexiness. Anybody can be sexy in a Victoria's Secret angel wing fashion show. I can show you a burly 10 tummy, hairy back, bald headed man in some Daisy Dukes. And you still gonna think it's sexy. Huh? Y'all heard me? B. Arthur was classy. Now, she told some filthy jokes for the time. But she's funny. And she set the standard. And there has not been another B. Arthur like her. So, since we are talking about B. Arthur, I have to then go right to Lucille Ball. And I think Lucille Ball is the last one. We love Lucy. Huh? What y'all said? Who loved Lucy? I love Lucy. Hello? The Lucille Ball. Yeah, she is the last one. Let me tell you something. I don't know if, we all know I love Lucy. I don't know if y'all have ever seen a movie called Mame. Go watch it. Mame is a very old, which we know is old because Lucy Ball, but this is like, okay? The movie Mame, it is a musical. Some of the most brilliant acting you will ever see in your life. Timeless comedy. Great drama. If you want to understand what it is to have understated acting, if you want to see true acting where it's not doing too much, if you want to understand the subtleties of a film, watch Mame. If you want to understand the subtleties and the impactfulness of not trying too hard, and you don't want to watch like a war film or a Western or something sad. If you want to watch something that's lighthearted, but it's still going to give you those, because Westerns are really good about not having a lot of dialogue, and you really just have to focus on the characters and what they're emoting at the time. War films, kind of the same thing. And of course, like normally sad, somber movies or TV shows rely heavily on obviously the emotions given by the characters, but everybody don't want to be all sad and depressed. So I have to recommend Mame. Now, this is one of my favorite movies, obviously, because Lucille Ball is in it. Fabulous actress. Fabulous comedian. Another one who had quite the mouth on her, especially for that time. Another one who the physical comedy to this day is mimicked by Lucille Ball. Hold on, I'm going to go back to Mame in just a second, but let's talk about Lucille Ball's physical comedy. That woman will have you in stitches with the way she moves her body around without being goofy. Specifically, let's talk about, everybody knows the classic scene from I Love Lucy when her and Ethel are working at that chocolate factory. Huh? Y'all with me? And the conveyor belt starts going all fast. And they can't keep up, and they start putting the chocolates in their mouth, and then y'all know that's one of the most iconic scenes. Do y'all know how many times that scene has been recreated? Look it up. Almost every successful sitcom show has recreated that scene. It's so simple, but it is so brilliant. And it is so funny. Hannah Montana recreated that scene. That's So Raven recreated that scene. Drake and Josh recreated that scene. Just to look it up. You will be amazed. Along with a lot of other things. Along with a lot of people have learned their comedic timing and their gestures from Lucille Ball. They might have thought they learned it from someone else, but I guarantee you, if they learned it from someone else, that person learned it from Lucille Ball. Period. So back to Maine. And I promise you we're about to wrap it up. There is a song called Bosom Buddy. Bosom Buddies. And that song is from Maine. And it's been performed by many different people. It's a duet. And B. Arthur is in this film with Lucille Ball. And oh gosh, the way that they delivered this song in the movie, in the looks, in the shade, in the commitment to the bit. Beautiful song, super funny. If you want to know the art of being shady or giving underhanded compliments and just if you don't want to watch the whole movie, I give you an assignment to go look up Bosom Buddy, specifically B. Arthur and Lucille Ball from the movie Mame. Okay, now there is also a performance with B. Arthur and oh my goodness, oh my gosh, another great actress. Hold on, okay, Angela Lansbury. We know her. Another lady, honey. Another one with the chops, okay? We know the Angela Lansbury, okay? There's also a performance with B. Arthur and her performing this song at an award show, which is that's another great performance if you want to watch a live performance of it. But anyways, I could go on and on and on. Y'all know I have a hard time wrapping it up. That's why I have a podcast, baby. I got to talk. I got to let it out. But all in all, what I can say about these ladies today, you have probably picked up on the theme, other than the ones that I pointed out. These were all women who brought some kind of a standard to the industry that people still mimic. They pushed the envelope, but they stayed classy. They weren't ladylike for the sake of being ladylike. They just were the classiest of women. And the artistry, just it has to carry on. I'm gonna need for these people to go back and really watch this stuff and really understand who it is that they're mimicking. The blueprints. So anyways, with all that being said, I really hope that you guys enjoy this episode. I hope that you kind of go away and kind of think about some things. Let me know who are some of your favorite black female actors. Okay. But yeah, shout out to the greats for giving us just some really wonderful art. Okay. Whoopi still out here dipping it and doing it. Viola's still out here dipping and doing it. Felicia's still dipping and doing it. Debbie's still out here dipping and doing it. Rest in peace to the great Lucille Ball and the most wonderful B. Arthur. Shout out Angela Lansbury. Okay. And with that, I have to call it scene and cut.